Welcome to Insight with Moonshadow. I am Moonshadow. I'm an integrative holistic therapist, intuitive shaman, interfaith minister, and evangelist with over 30 years of experience in the healing field here in the U.S. as well as internationally. Now, my intention here is to help you connect you to your inner self and connect you to the world around you. So this is really to empower you, empower yourself, mind, body, and spirit to get you to really where you want to be. So every time you look in the mirror at yourself, at your reflection, you will know that you've done everything you possibly could to be the best person you could be. And I'm not talking about by society standards. I'm talking about by your own personal views, by your own personal standards, because all of us set the bar. Some of us set the bar even higher. Some of us set the bar way too high. However, setting the bar is important. So I think that is a great thing to do because we're all here to learn. I learn as much as guide and teach. So it's very, very important that we all connect. So I appreciate all of you for being here today. So now today's topic. Here we are. We're looking at, in the grand scheme of things, we're looking at it's December, okay? We're looking at close to the end of the year. A lot has gone down this year. Now, whether or not you are energetically sensitive or not, and I believe everyone to some degree is energetically connected or energetically sensitive. It just depends on the sensitivity. Okay? So basically, looking at it from that perspective, this is something that we as people, we're a lot more tribal than we know. A lot of us don't even realize that we still have those old genes. We still have those old tribal roots, those old connective pieces that join us together. Now, it doesn't matter how you live your life. It doesn't matter what your belief system is. There's something core within each and every one of us that connects us. And definitely, and some of us are older than others. I agree with you, Tara. So there are some older souls and there are some younger ones. Some people have been, kind of traipsing around the block a lot, and some of us were newer. Either way, it doesn't make anyone better or worse. All it does is it just says that we're all part of this big, huge wheel of discovery and this big, huge wheel of involvement and evolvement. So this is all huge. This is like massive. It's a massive thing. So now going back to this year, so much has happened this year. Things that we never could imagine could have possibly happened. And Melody, you're a very, very wise soul. Very, very. But the thing is this, there are many things that have happened and we have become more in tune. Whether you are completely not into this earthy, crunchy business or not, a lot of us have become more sensitive to what's happening. And you can tell, even with the world today, it has changed. It's almost like as things are shifting, people are shifting into more of a vibration, a higher vibration, and some other people are shifting into a lower vibration. Now, the higher vibration, the more evolved you get, right? The lower vibration, the more instinctual you get. And there's a time and a place for being instinctual, that fight or flight kind of situation. If there's a situation where you go to get mugged or you get into an accident and you pull your kids out of a car, that kind of thing, that's fight or flight. That's lower core vibration. However, when it comes time to being more compassionate, all of that, that's all higher vibration stuff. Not criticizing or judging people, not being racist or separating people. That is more of an evolvement in a higher vibration situation. That's feeding the right wolf. Okay. So now, that being said, December 2016, there has been so much that's happened up to now. There's a big culmination, and the energy keeps on getting more and more frenetic. Now, this is good, and this is bad. Now, to just cover the not so good stuff right away, is that we've come to realize that so much is happening that we become more emotional, more reactive. We're looking at things from a more guttural perspective, where we're not necessarily thinking or linking heart and soul completely. So that's problematic. However, on the good side, this also brings the higher good in so many people. Hey, Joe, welcome. So this is also really, really important, because there's a big need, and you've heard me say this and challenge you before. There's a big need for the light workers and the people that actually do a lot of good. There's a big need for it. We're calling you out, because the world today, as it's going on, it's really changing. And there are a lot of people in the world that are not fully clued in. So being fully clued in is important. And I'm not saying I'm fully clued in, because it takes a lot. However, doing it every day and working your practice and walking your talk is very, very key for you to be able to work in that higher frequency. So this is important. And yes, Tara, and it's not all for the good right now. And this is one of the big reasons why I enjoy sharing my experience here on Insight with Moonshadow. For that reason, is because this is my way of reaching out into the world and say, look, sometimes we got to stop this insanity. We need to really take a look within, and then that way be part of that ripple that is going to really change things, really change the world. And it's a revolution. You're being called to it. You may not even realize it. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what religious sect you're connected to. It doesn't matter what your spirituality is. It doesn't matter if you read books or you read them on a Kindle or a Barnes & Noble Nook. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Some of us subconsciously are being drawn. If you weren't interested in certain things going back 2, 3, 4 years ago, all of a sudden you're more interested in these things that you would have been like, whoa, I better not, because people are going to think I'm crazy or weird or whatever. So all these things are majorly changing. All these things are happening at such an incredible rate that we can't all keep up, me included. It's an everyday thing. It's an everyday, it's a lot of times when you're working with spiritual things, a lot of times you'll hear the term spiritual warrior. This is true, because it's a battle. It's a battle of yourself and feeding the right wolf. It's a battle with the world in trying to dissipate any kind of negative energy or energy that isn't necessarily in harmony or in flow with what's happening. Because this is all really, really important. So now, over the last, and it's been happening for years, but it's gotten, the pace has gotten quicker and quicker. If any of you are familiar with the Highlander movies and the Highlander show, the TV show, the premise is very much similar to Star Wars and the Jedi Knights. They're all warriors, and they could feel energy. They're in tune with the force or the energy. Now, this is where life imitates art and art imitates life. This is not all made up. There's a basis to it. There's a foundation to what they built these stories on. So now, that being said, we've had this particular year, we've had a trifecta of supermoons. This is the third one. And this is even bigger and stronger than the last two we've had. Now this came out from, hey Gina, welcome to see you. Thank you. Welcome for coming. Now if you look at it, it came in, the new moon came into Sagittarius, and now it's in Gemini. Now, Gemini is a very, very funny sign. No disrespect for you Geminian people. I know a few. But with Gemini, they could be in flux, going back and forth, right? So now you take a supermoon that is going to affect a lot of what's happening. You're going to see where this is also going to affect you as well. Emotionally, materially, physically, a lot of that stuff is happening. And Anna's saying even a unity amongst different kinds of beliefs to help. Like, I'm part of a group that is a parliament of religions. It's an interfaith group. And it's of every possible religion, spirituality, because we're all supposed to coexist together. So that is also a big part of it as well. This is about the creation and spirituality of all, because we all come from the same place, you know. So now, with this supermoon happening, it is going to be happening within the next couple of days. The 13th is going to start, and then it's going to get really huge on the 14th. I think it's about at 7-ish on the 14th. I had that information, but I don't want to lose my flow of thought here. Definitely look it up if you'd like to know more. However, so now this is all part of a huge, what is being called a mystic triangle. So now you're looking at, talk about during Halloween, where the veil was a lot thinner, where you can actually see even people that completely they're not as intuitive or as psychic as they think. All of a sudden, people were picking up all kinds of things. I've had people give me, tell me messages, and they've told me about dreams they've had and things that they never were open to prior to. So this is like crazy stuff. So it's getting more frenetic. It's getting more powerful. So that being said, with this supermoon, you have a big opportunity. Now, if you didn't take on the opportunity of releasing and letting go and being part of the moment, hey, Kaylee, welcome, welcome. If you have not done any moon rituals or done a prayer or affirmation the last couple of supermoons, you have a big opportunity to do it this time. Now, not only is this a trifecta of large supermoons that may not happen for quite a while. I think it was like 2034, something to that degree. But the thing is this. You're also coming into an end of how things have been. You're looking at everything being turned on its head. Everything's being turned on its head. Things you'd never imagine has happened. And I'm not going to go into detail with certain things because I don't want to get into that. However, things you never would even think were possible have become possible. So that's good, and that's not so good. Part of it is because this influx of really intense, suggestible, and manifestable energy. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world. Doesn't matter where you are. Doesn't matter if you're international. You're going to feel it because it's been happening. It's been continuously moving and moving and moving into that direction. So you're looking at the supermoon happening within the next couple of days. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of techniques that you could use to release, let go, and to replace some new things, because you're going to also look at the new moon coming around the corner from the full. So now, looking at it from that perspective, just think back in your own life. Think back in your own life and how things have changed from January, the beginning of this year, to now. Now, Shauna Maria is saying a big shift is happening going into the new year as we release from this 9-year. See, and it's a 9-year, which so many things are shifting from a 9-year into a 10. It's massive. So if you are hurting in one phase, be watchful and be prepared, because this may flip it on its head and do the opposite. So this is all really important. So Pay attention to your dreams. Pay attention to things that you may pick up. Pay attention to your intuition, your instincts. There are things that are going to come up from the left and from the right. You may not even realize that it's happening for you. So yeah, and Ariel is saying wait till 2018. That's an 11 year. Okay, so a 9 year. In numerology, each year designates something. Now, coming up, like with the 9 year, a lot of it was endings and beginnings. A lot of it. So it's no surprise that things that you thought were stable and was going to happen ended. End of old regimes, end of things happening, a lot of that. So now moving into a 10, it's going to be, I believe it's about more introspection, and it changes. I'm a little rusty on that. But if you have any questions, feel free to get in touch with me, because I'll be glad to elaborate a little further. But the thing is this, with all the shifting and turning and changing, every single one of us, right, every single one of us has the ability to change something. All of us. Hey, Melissa, hey. Welcome, welcome. So now, Melody is saying, wow, that's why I'm feeling so different as we approach the 13th. Yeah. And it's big, and it's big. And this is the thing, but this is the third super moon. So it's no wonder. It's no wonder that you've been feeling extra nervous, extra anxious, extra irritable. You may not know where your emotions are. You know, people that you'd never thought you'd argue with, you're arguing with. People that you would never think that would do one thing, they do it. So this is why, and Ariel is saying it very well, your future is so changeable right now, and it is. You can make the difference. And in past episodes, I have mentioned about how the shit can hit the fan, but it's your coping skills that get you through. How you deal with the situation is how, if you're going to make it out. And believe me, I will tell you this. Hey, Xander. I've been through a lot. I've been dead and came back. There's a lot of things that have happened. But this is the whole point of it, is going deep within and really connecting to your inner self and pushing out and really getting a hold of that part of you that just won't give up. That's important, because we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here if our ancestors gave up. It'd be problematic. So Anna's saying, does this mess with interpersonal stuff like retrograde does? And oh, by the way, that's one thing I haven't mentioned yet. Mercury's going to be going in retrograde. Now, you could be someone that knows all or doesn't know all, but most people know when Mercury goes retrograde, stuff goes caca quick. So Mercury will be going in retrograde. You're looking at miscommunications. You're looking at arguments. You're looking at some insanity happening. So again, yeah, right? So one of the things that I would say is think 5 to 10 seconds before you say something or react. Because now is a time that things are so highly tuned. It's like this. Now, I'm also a musician. And early on, when I was tuning my guitar when I was younger, much younger, yeah, I'm a little old. So almost a half century, by the way. But that's beside the point. So now, while tuning my guitar when I first started, I was tuning it, and I was like tweaking it and tweaking it and tweaking it, and that string was wound so tight it snapped and cut me. That was an interesting lesson about life. Being too rigid will get you nowhere. Being too rigid, you're going to snap. And that was one of my early lessons, and that you would think, you know. And thank you, Tara. So this is part of it. So things can snap. So now, in the same way, if you allow yourself to be a little softer, and again, do not mistake kindness for weakness, because it's not about being weak. This is about being resourceful. This is about being resilient. This is about taking adversity and making it work for you. And Ariel is saying it oh so well. Be careful with words and intentions. Thoughts are things and words are things. It takes a lot. It's a lot harder to be a good person, and I mean good in the grand sense of things, not wishy-washy or anything like that. I'm talking about just being an evolved, enlightened person to do the best you can with life. Treat people with respect, all of that, you know. But the thing is, thoughts are things and words are things. You cannot unring or unthink that bell sometimes if it goes too far. So that being said, this supermoon and what's going on right now with the planet, I'm not even going to say just the world. I'm not even just going to say the United States. I'm talking about the world. You have everything. It's flipped around and tossed, and it's like a tossed salad of chaos. So now, to make the change. We're being called to live at a higher expectation. We're being called to move at a higher vibration. This is going to separate. No disrespect, this is not gender specific, the men and the boys and the women and the girls. This is going to separate the wheat from the chaff. So you heard it here. If you didn't know it before, this is what's going on. And so now what you do with it and what you choose to do with it, that makes all the difference in the world. So now looking at this big supermoon. So now it's going to be, like this year has been a year of a lot of letting go, a lot of endings, a lot of beginnings and a lot of endings. So there's a lot of stuff that we're going to be processing. So about that, you really don't want to carry on anymore. That isn't working for you. Lindsay, welcome, welcome. So this is now the time to shed all those things that aren't working. You know, you may have tried to eat better and to work out more and all that. Now is the time, because you're going to get this influx of anxious, crazy energy to move. Hey, Chrissy, welcome. I'm glad you found us. You can't find me on YouTube Live, huh? It says that I'm live. Interesting. We'll have to see about that. Thanks for letting me know though. So this is now a big part of you are at this moment in time, you can go ahead and reach further into your deepest and fullest potential. Now is the time you could do that. So with this whole mystic rectangle, you're going to find everything's going to be moving at such a quicker pace. It's going to be even more frenetic, and you'll be amazed. I can tell you 2017, despite what you may see or feel, is going to be such a drastic change. It's going to be an absolute drastic change. It's not all got to be good. However, we can make it good. We can make it happen. And it's all about intensity. It's all about working it. Because if you notice, if you have a really tough day, And if you're not on par, your emotions aren't on par with things, and you just had it. You've had it up to here. Your give a damn's broken. What happens? That one last thing. It could be your significant other saying something that tweaked you the wrong way. It could be your kid making a mess or spilling milk on the floor. It could be whatever it may be. All of a sudden, you've had it, and you explode. No? Who likes that? Nobody. However, you notice if you've had a decent day, or you're feeling strong that day, and something, and it hits the fan, you're like, it'll pass. It'll get better. It's not a big thing. Tomorrow's another day. Then you notice that it isn't as bad. So it's all about our perception and how we perceive it. Because no one is going to control you, per se. No one's going to control your thoughts, your deeds, your things. No one can do that. Nobody. I don't care who it is. You ultimately are in control of that reflection in the mirror. You are. Now, Kaylee is saying here, if we view it as for us and not against us, it will be great. Well, yeah. Again, it's your personal journey. Now, granted, I care about other people's well-being, absolutely, but we all sign on to our own path. So if someone chooses to go down a different path, or choose the dark side of the force as opposed to the light, all I can do is send a prayer and affirmation to them that they find their way back, because this is what it all boils down to. There are things that we cannot even discuss now that we used to be able to discuss openly. And this is another big aspect to it too. Another big shift and change. Now, I'm not wearing my hat with a safety pin on it, but it's not just a movement. It's an energy. It's not just a social post on social media. It's an energy. Hey, friend. So this is a big part of it. Or is it Erin? I'm sorry. Welcome. But this is a big part of what's going on. Is that this shift, what's going on, what's happening, is happening. It's going to happen whether you like it or not. No different than the sun rises and sets, whether you like it or not, or whether you know it or not, it's going to change. Your heart's going to be continuously, whether you give it the acknowledgement or not. So seeing that, working with this new shift is going to be important. So now, one of the things that people do all the time, I'm guilty of that too, until I stopped, was doing the good old New Year's resolution. If you're not going to follow up with it, if it's too large and grandiose, don't bother. Look at smaller goals. Look at moving, shifting it, even if it's a step in the right direction. That's important. Also, too, looking at this shift as something that can be beneficial to you, that can move towards a better new year for you. Now, and it's true, very few people actually keep to their New Year's resolutions. It's almost like a thing, you know what I mean, where you're like, oh yeah, it's almost like an anti-resolution. It's like, I'm not. So you know what? How about doing that instead? Shift your mindset. Shift it. Instead of saying, okay, I'm going to lose 10 pounds, say, I'm not going to gain 10 more pounds. How about that? How about flip it, change it, rearrange it, do something. How about instead of maybe thinking, okay, in 2017, I'm not going to be as rigid and constipated as I've been. Yes, I said rigid and constipated, because there are rigid and constipated people in the world. It's true. Now, Melody is saying it feels like letting go, trying to control, and just being in the moment and allow new beginnings to manifest a positive path no matter what comes your way. I agree. Sometimes, a lot of times, this is what, over the last many years, people have asked me, so what have you been up to? People I haven't talked to in ages. What have you been up to? And my standard answer has been, I try every day to stay out of my own way. Because if you stay out of your own way, then maybe fate, destiny, opportunity can come your way. If you're too busy thinking the shoulda, woulda, couldas, now it's just going to mess it up. So now also you think about karma and all that other stuff where you put out, you get what you put out there. So again, that's also part of be aware of what kind of sandwich you're making before you go feeding people around you, right? Make sure it's a good sandwich. That's what karma is all about. It all reflects. So you have to, and I say you have to, you can choose to. I have to. It's a thing that I have to do in my life. But you have a choice to either be the candle or be the reflection or not do any of that, and then you can piss and moan later that it didn't happen. So it's really up to you. A lot of it is up to you. So of course, with this big, huge supermoon, with this year going insane like it's been, we have the opportunity. We didn't have the opportunity once with a big, huge, massive supermoon. We didn't have the opportunity with the second, but now we have the third. Not only it's coupled with the third supermoon, it's coupled with close to the end of the year. It's coupled with 2017 being a massive, massive shift. So you want to talk about shift hitting the fan? Shift will be hitting the fan, whether you're part of it or not, whether you're on the bus or not, whether you're driving the bus or not. It's going to happen. So make plans. Think about it. Be in the moment. Say a good prayer or affirmation, because this is all going to massively change. Who you are today is not going to be the same person midpoint next year. Now, deep within our core, we have a core matrix of who we are. So that is true. If you've never been a mean person, it's less likely that you'll ever be a mean person ever, even if people crap on you left and right. However, you're not going to be the same doe-eyed person as experience kicks in, as experience changes you. You're going to be shifting and changing in other ways, where the core part of you is still there, but it might be a little more protected, a little more guarded, a little more shifted a little bit to the left or right, or not letting people in like you used to. So that's a big part of it. Now, Melody is also saying here, to me, it's like letting go of being fear-based and become that warrior to oneself. Yes, a big part of this is also this. Okay, we tend to go through life in a fear-based mode, in the idea of lack, of not having anything, things are never going to happen, all of that. It's all fear-based. I've had to learn a long time ago to lose. I've lost a lot. I've lost people. I've lost things. I've even lost my mind a few times. But the point is, coming through the other side of it. And it's a big difference. There's a big difference between break down and break through. Huge difference. What you do at the other side makes all the difference. So with this shift happening, it's massive. Now, Chrissy is saying here, I was told that the universe does not know the word no or not. So if I ask not to do something, then I'll end up doing it after all. But if I say I'm going to do something, then it's all better. Now, granted, I will say this, the universe is literal. And I've actually seen it, and I've actually experimented with that. I remember one friend of mine was very pessimistic. Incredibly pessimistic, mind you. It was kind of like the anti-moon. And they were like, watch this happen. And it would happen. And then they see, told you I had bad luck. And I'm like, no! They were using self-fulfilled prophecy, and they were manifesting that energy because they put so much intention in knowing that they'll never have anything. They'll never have it. Ever. Yeah. Well, you know, if I find it, I'll give it back to you. Speaking of minds. But also, too, you have to be a little variable to be able to look at the world from a different way. A lot of people way back in tribal times, there was no such thing as mental illness. They were connected into the void, the great mystery. So a lot of it wasn't mental illness that we see today. And I'm not saying that mental illness does not exist. It does. But I'm saying there's a choice select few of those people that are so connected beyond the veil that's really not mental illness. It's actually they're so connected that it's very hard to have one leg on one side and one leg on the other. And I know that from personal experience. So with the universe being literal, now is the time for you to be literal. Now is the time for you to actually ask for what you want. Claim what you want. It doesn't have to be grandiose. Just wanting change for the better. Just wanting to have opportunity open up. Just having, you know, the ability or the energy for new connections to happen. Things like that. You can start small. Now's the time to do it. Because ultimately, being more mindful is going to make you more aware. Being more self-aware is going to make you healthier. Making you healthier, it's going to make everything better. So it's good. And of course, you know, Kaylee's saying details are good. Yeah, work with details. You know, when you're manifesting, when you're ready for the next shift, say, I am not going to live fear-based. Now, the other side of that coin, feeding the right wolf, is being love-based. And it's funny that Tara says people who say that can't, they just don't try. And there is actually a saying from Star Wars that Yoda says is like, do or do not. There is no try. I know. Poor Yoda impression. But still, there's do or do not. Things don't happen in that way, that moment. It may change. It may take a while. Because another thing universe does not know, they don't know about time. They're not linear. Time isn't linear. There are multifaceted parts of you. There is a you that's 50 years older. There's a you that's, you know, 10 years younger. There's you that's a newborn. There's you as an older person. So there you go. So that being said, there is something to be said about that too. You are meant to be an unlimited being. And a lot of people don't realize this. Hey, Marisha, welcome. You are meant to be an unlimited being. We are taught or delusion, we are misguided by a lot of people saying you're not supposed to be unlimited. You're supposed to work hard all the time. You're supposed to do everything the hard way. Everything is supposed to be difficult. You're supposed to suffer. No. I'm going to say this to all of you out in the universe. No, we're not necessarily always meant to suffer. We're meant to learn, not suffer. There's a difference. Learning is one thing. Now you choose. You can choose no different, like, and again, I use a lot of metaphors via movies, because a lot of it has some underlying spirituality there. Look at The Matrix, Red or Blue Pill, Alice in Wonderland, drink me, eat this, drink me, drink that. All of that has a metaphor attached to it. So now, if you look at The Matrix, what did Morpheus say to Neo? I can't. Once you choose, you can't unchoose this. So choose wisely. You can't unsee what has been seen. You can't unring that certain bells. You cannot unring them. So if you use an ugly word or a nasty word to someone, you can't unring it. You can't take it away. You can't unsay, oh, I'm sorry I called you a blah, 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 fill in the blanks. This is why we need to be responsible, mindful, and self-aware, to not say these things. Because that makes all the difference in the world. Perfect example. Right here I am. I'm on YouTube Live as well as on Facebook Live. I have the potential, and this has been happening every week. Anybody from next door neighbors, people I went to high school with, to ex-girlfriends, co-workers, extended family, international family, mind you. Last week I had two cousins come in from different parts of the world. So this is what I'm saying. Be mindful of what you do, what you say, and how you feel. What do you reflect back into the world? Because that also makes a huge, massive difference as well. So now, what does this mean? What does all of this mean in the grand, jumbled up mess that we're in? Think about it for a second. Put out there love-based, and I'm saying people confuse the word love very often. It's really meant to be unconditional. It's not conditional. I don't like you because you do this for me. And it shouldn't be fear-based. I'm going to do this for you because you'll never leave me. Or you'll never do this. Or you'll never do that. So being more love-based is more important. Just because you're going to find that you're going to be more accepting and more receptive to what's actually happening in the universe. You're going to learn a lot more. And you're going to be learning the easy way and not the hard way. So now we have a whole different opportunity to absolutely, beyond a doubt, get rid of what isn't working for you. Here and now. This is the month to do it. Between the supermoon and the new year. And I'm going to say this live, shit or get off the pot. Do what you got to do. Now, Chrissy is saying, I knew a person who always kept saying sorry, and one day I told that person, why don't you stop saying sorry and only say sorry if you mean it? It's true. I know a couple of people I used to do that too. Oh, I'm sorry. Why did you do that? Now you can be empathetic. You can be empathetic to a situation. You can feel with a person like I do. There are a few people in this room that are empaths. And probably more that don't even know that they are, but are. But the thing is this. There's another way to do it. There's always a better way to do things. And all I can say is find it. The way you've been doing things, or your daddy's been doing things, or your granddaddy, or your mama, or your grandmama, or anything like that. We're in a new age, and things can change drastically. Now, some things stay the same, unfortunately. But things can change and things can get better. But it's all going to take work. It's all going to take, you taking care of. And again, and this is another word that I had to make amends with, because I believe that there's a certain level of that you need to be, and that is the word selfish. You need to be a little selfish to be able to know when you can and cannot do what you can do or not do. Self-care. So replace selfishness with self-care, and there you go. Now you know the true meaning, or the true aspect of and the strength and power of what that is. The stronger you are to help other people. The more grounded you are, the more grounded you are for other people. So it's important to be self-aware of the things that you need to change so you can improve on them. And no one's perfect. Because I'd be in a diaper, on the top of a mountain somewhere. I'd be going, okay, Kashbi Gari, I will give you all the many meanings of the world and all that. And that'd be fantastic. But guess what? None of us are perfect. Even the Dalai Lama didn't admit that there was any kind of perfection. So this is important. So now, bring it back. Huge shift, big supermoon, happening within the next couple of days. There are a couple of different techniques that you can utilize. One of the big things is letting go. One of the songs of the past year or so, since the movie came out, was Let It Go. I've seen old ladies sing it, Let It Go. I've seen little kids sing Let It Go, but people don't let it go. They don't let it go. That's why I say they're constipated. People could be emotionally constipated. They could be physically constipated. They could be intellectually constipated. I don't need to learn anything else because I know it all. You don't know it all. Because if you knew it all, you wouldn't be here. This casing that we have would be gone. We'd be in a whole different ball game. You have the opportunity and the choice to make the major change, to make the major shift of things that haven't worked for you anymore. Because it's not going to change, it's not going to get any better if you're constantly wanting to make it, inconceivably what you're doing is you're actually manifesting more lack. That's not good, is it? So now focus on the actual good of things, the benefit of things. Because when you start doing that, then things go to change. And yes, Chrissy, you're absolutely right. Hey, Q, welcome. So again, you're going through now. Hello, hello. Anything that you're going through right now, you have the choice of letting it go. There's going to be a lot of different changes. There are a lot of things that are coming around the corner that you may not be able to see around the corner, but go there with faith. Go there with strength. Go there with knowing enough. You've had enough of what's happening now. You've had enough with what limiting you or stopping you. You've had enough. And now things have to change. Sounds powerful, doesn't it? Well, let's work on a couple of techniques you can use. And I may have mentioned them before in prior episodes, but there are some new people in the broadcast today that might be able to benefit from it. One of the things you can do is you can use prayer. If you're a prayerful religious person, you can use prayer. Pray to, Great Spirit, God, our Father, whoever it is that you pray to, and pray that they release these things. That's one aspect of things, because the power of prayer is powerful. Also, you can turn it into, put some physicality in there. I tend to like to put physicality in, because if you're moving with something, it makes it even more real. It makes it more tangible. So when you make it more tangible, that makes it even more powerful. You can work with some crystals. Okay. Also, one of a big ritual ceremony that I use is of letting go is writing down things. Now you can do this. You don't necessarily need to go outside to do this either. I choose to go outside if I can, just because now I'm in the element. I'm in nature. I'm there. To me, that's more powerful. To me, that's like church. To me, that's spirit. To me, that's my soul communing completely. Now you write down everything you want. You know, you can write it as a letter to yourself. I allow you to let go of this, and that. You no longer have to carry this, and that. Whether it be suffering, whether it be pain, whether it be old karmic relationships, whether it be anything. And allow your higher self, or speak as your higher self to your lower energetic self. Do it. So you can do it by writing a letter. Also, by version of that, you can just say, I release, I let go of, I disconnect from, I cut off from. So if you go ahead and say, I release, ... you can go ahead and list. If you're a bullet point type person, write bullet points. Write it as a list, as a laundry list, as a grocery list, whatever you got to do. But what you're going to do is there's an extra trick. You're going to actually move it into the next level. You're going to actually shift it into even higher vibration by saying, I release this from every karmic debt. I release this from every situation. I release this from who I was, who I am, and who I will be. So you're releasing it from every aspect, every cell, every bit of your body, mind, and spirit. Now, I will say this. If at the end of this, lightheaded or tired, it actually started working. Because now you're taking that energy and concentrating that energy so strongly, you're putting such powerful juju into it that you're making it change. You're making it happen. That's one way, writing it down. Now, some people, if you have any kind of respiratory things going on where you can't light things on fire, that's okay. You don't have to necessarily do that. I choose to do that a lot of the time, and I also burn sage, and I smudge afterwards to completely release that energy. But instead, you can just cut it up, rip it up. That is also bringing physicality in. You're cutting it, ripping it, tearing it up, because you are getting rid of it. It is getting cut from you. Another thing you can do too is you can take a small bit of cord, a small bit of string, whichever you have handy, and you tie 2 knots on each end. One is who you are, and one is who you're going to be. And you're going to take that end and you're going to focus on who I've been, my limitations is now gone. And you utilize that. And then you can cut it. Physicality. You put physicality into this, it's going to make a big, huge difference. Now, the great thing about doing these, and again, it could just be a prayer. So if you're scared about the whole possibility of spirituality or a pagan thing or earthy, crunchy thing or anything like that, you could be a born-again Christian and do the same thing. Just pray. Just pray. Lord, please take away all this, uncertainty away from my life, and just mean it. So this is not, I'm an interfaith minister, so it's really not about a religion, right? It's about spirituality. Great mystery. With the Creator. So unless you're an atheist, which, no disrespect, I don't agree, but it's your choice, right? I'm not going to judge. But that being said, having that connection, that divine connection to your divine masculine and feminine, and putting some physicality into it, you can make massive change. You can not only just put a ripple in the pond, you can make a tidal wave. Because just think about this. A lot of us have been angry. So if you're really angry, do you notice that surge of energy that you have inside you? That you're like so angry that you shake? Well, guess what? That's you working, that's you being on the dark side of the force, okay? You can take that same energy, the same juju, and change it. Alter it. You can change it to be creative. You can change it to be a better brother, sister, mother, father. You can change it to be a better person. You can change it to help people instead of harm them. So utilizing that energy and pushing it to a cause will make a huge difference. So just imagine being on the fast track of this surge of energy. It's like being a surfer. It's like being a surfer and catching the wave. There's a wave coming, people. There's a wave. And it's up to you whether you want to get in it or wipe out. It's up to you. And there are people that will wipe out. And of course, the quicker you let go of things, the easier Mercury in retrograde is going to be, because you're going to be thinking twice about what you say and what you do. Therefore, communications won't get so screwed up. Something to think about. So, looking at it from that perspective as well. Now, say you've written a letter, or you've written down a prayer, or you said a prayer, you've done it. Okay? Whether or not you've lit it in a fire-resistant bowl and grounded it and put it out in the ground outside, or in a potted plant. I probably wouldn't put it in a potted plant so much. I would probably put it in just dirt, to be honest with you, because you don't want it to grow anything. And this is about being mindful, see? So you can put it in dirt, like an old potted plant that the plant's dead. Put it there and toss the dirt out. So that's something you can do. But once you're done with all of that, once you're done having the old shit and wanting to move into the new shift, see it happen. Focus on it being now. Don't give it a time frame, because the universe doesn't know time. But it does know literal. It does know right now. So if you say, I invite, I allow, I invoke change now, and it's positive change, I release it. I release all negative aspects, all negative energy, everything. Now, I did this going back quite a few years ago, and there were quite a few people that walked away. There's a reason why that happened. Because they didn't serve their purpose in their own lives. And it's unfortunate. I still send good prayers and good energy their way no matter what. But we all choose our path, right? Well, some of us are forced, but we all choose how we decide to go down our path. So that being said, this huge shift, you can make the change. You can make it happen. Two, once Mercury hits retrograde, sometimes it's only as bad as you make it. You have a choice of being able to dial down the volume of that energy as well. If you're aware of it, you're aware of that, then you're going to be able to work with it. So it's kind of like you don't have anything in your cupboards, but you're hungry, right? So you look in, you go, oh, I got cream of mushroom soup, I've got this, I've got that, these are the ingredients, and you make it work, right? So it's no different than Mercury being in retrograde. You just have to make it work. You do the best you can. Just don't try not to make huge life-altering decisions. Sometimes you have to take a little bit of a break with major things, but just focus on the positive. Feed the right wolf, and you'll find that it's not quite as bad as expected. So also a big part of it too is for you to really connect to your true awesomeness and who you are. Because you're an amazing person. Energy. You have the ability to do a lot of things. We can actually create miracles. And what I mean by create miracles is sometimes if someone has a really bad day and you just smile at them, that might make a huge difference. You know, practicing random acts of kindness, things like that. That can make and shift not only one person's day, that could be like a big, huge snowball of positive change in a lot of ways. So, what are you going to do? And you've heard me say this before. Are you going to be part of the solution and part of the problem? It's your choice. I'm not going to like you or dislike you either way. It's your choice. But you do have a choice as far as that goes. How are you going to deal with something? How are you going to move forward? You know? In my culture, the way I was raised with being affectionate. And I've gone, you know, a lot further where I pretty much hug just about anybody and everybody. And I don't fault myself for it. You know what I mean? So that's basically how it works. So now, you're ready to let things go. You're making a list. Whether you tear it up, you put it in a shredder. How about that? You want to talk about modern technology? You can do that. Write it down and you shred it. Throw in a garbage bag and send it out. Welcome back, Anna. So yes, so definitely work on doing a letting go and releasing ceremony within the next couple of days, because it's going to be powerful. Work with a resolution that you're able to do. Say, I'm going to walk more. I'm going to be a little more active. I'm going to eat a little less sugar. Not, I'm going to cut sugar out of my diet. Whatever it may be. Work with the small baby steps, because you're going to be more apt to actually finding the goal, actually achieving it, and your life is going to be changed in a grand way. So, hopefully, all of this has been, let me see, where is it? I have to make sure everything's in place. There's only so much room here. Awesome. So yeah, quick summary. You have the power and the choice to make things different right here, right now. All you need to do is tap into that strength. The same strength that you could get angry and say things that you shouldn't say, post things that you shouldn't post, or do things that you're not supposed to do, you can use that same energy to move it and flip it on its head and actually do some good. Be kind. Move into that kind of thing. You can do it. So, I'm going to close up the broadcast for this week, but just a little food for thought. You have the ability. You don't have to be a millionaire. You don't have to be in politics. You don't have to be a big, huge person on TV that makes a difference that way. You can make a difference in your own hometown, in your own community, in your own neck of the woods. If you can make a change by wearing a safety pin, simple as that. That's just one example. Then you have the ability to make major change. It will catch fire, no different than kindling and a flame. So thinking about that, that's what I'm going to leave you with this week. So I would like to thank all of you so very much for spending time with me here on Insight with Moonshadow. All of you inspire me to continue doing this, and this is a labor of love for me. So I do this every week because I have the ability weekly for an hour, sometimes an hour and a half, who knows, sometimes in the past few weeks it was a couple hours. But this gives me the chance to reach out to you and guide you and teach you something, and also learn from you as well. So if you feel guided to connect with me, feel free to be guided to connect and to support any which way. Send good juju my way, anything like that. You can look at all my social media on phoenixrisinghealingarts.com or moonphoenixrising.com. All my links are there under the Insight with Moonshadow and social media or social icons tab. And I say every week, as I say every week, be strong, be amazing, be you. God bless. Take care, guys. And make shift happen. See you soon.